Jiren's boot struck the metallic floor of docking bay 6 with a rhythm far too loud for his liking. Every step echoed through the vast chamber, like an anxious reminder that he absolutely did not belong on a high-tier research outpost. He had expected a quiet arrival, a quick check-in, a brief systems calibration, maybe a joke from the station AI about his outdated toolkit. Nothing complicated, nothing dramatic. Instead, the moment the shuttle door slid open, he walked straight into a spectacle. The bay glowed with the soft shimmer of anti-grav tethers, suspending cargo crates like floating lanterns. Pneumatic arms hissed and folded with mechanical precision, while the station's guiding beacons pulsed in gentle blue arcs along the floor. Overhead, the AI chimed in its usual tone, clinical, dry, and somehow perpetually unimpressed. Welcome, Technician Jiren. Current prediction for minor catastrophe, 82%. Coffee reserves uncertain. Jiren sighed. Great. Always reassuring to hear the station rooting for me. He barely had time to gather himself before the researchers, waiting near the entryway, all stiffened at once. Conversation stalled. Long, pointed ears lifted, eyes widened, and then he saw her. Liera stood frozen near the control console, her pale skin luminous beneath the bay's cold fluorescent lights. Her long ears twitched, rapid, startled, like she'd heard something the universe wasn't ready to say aloud. Her eyes locked onto Jiren with a disbelief, so sharp it nearly knocked the air from her lungs. "This can't be," she whispered, voice trembling. "You're alive." Jiren blinked. Hi." It was absolutely the wrong response, but it was all he had. Her gaze didn't soften. If anything, it deepened, studying him, calculating, comparing. The other researchers murmured in confusion, glancing between Liera and Jiren, as if waiting for a prophecy to unfold. "I promise I'm not a ghost," Jiren added weakly, "or a hologram, or anyone who's supposed to be dead." Liera's lips parted again, but no words came. Her ears angled backward, a posture Jiren had only ever seen in nervous animals. Something heavy, ancient even, flickered behind her expression. She finally gathered herself enough to speak. "You look exactly like him." Jiren had no idea who him was, but he already wanted to apologize for it. Before he could ask, Liera gestured stiffly for him to follow. Her movements were precise, elegant even, but undermined by a subtle tremor she kept trying and failing to hide. Jiren trailed after her past glowing data panels, projecting atmospheric storms and magnetic anomalies across the walls like living murals. The deeper they walked, the more alive the station felt. Every surface humming with power, every screen flashing glyphs and numbers that danced together like some interstellar code he was underqualified to interpret. Finally, unable to hold the question any longer, he asked, "So, I look like someone important?" Liera nodded, her voice quiet and uncertain. "Not just important. A human who saved our colony years ago, and who died doing it." Jiren swallowed. "Well, that's awkward for both of us." A soft exhale slipped from her, a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. The tension in her shoulders eased by a fraction. They reached a corridor where drones buzzed overhead like overeager metal bees. One attempted to balance on a railing and immediately over-rotated like a drunken acrobat. Jiren raised an eyebrow. "Tell me that one's defective." Liera's mouth twitched. "It's expressive." For the first time since he arrived, he saw amusement break through her shock. A tiny spark, but enough. The AI chimed again, far too pleased with itself. Technician morale rising. Probability of sarcasm increasing. Jiren sighed. "Fantastic. Even the AI thinks I'm funny now. This day keeps getting better." Liera's ears flicked, this time gently, almost playfully. The past might have been haunting her, but the present was beginning to carve its own path. Liera guided Jiren deeper into the outpost interior, where the walls glowed with faint bioluminescent veins that pulsed like the heartbeat of some slumbering titan. Every panel they passed shifted color in slow waves, green to blue, blue to violet, responding to movement, energy signatures, or perhaps the emotional tension clinging to the air between them. Jiren's boots squeaked with embarrassing inconsistency as they walked. He winced. I feel like my shoes are announcing me to the entire galaxy. Liera's ear flicked upward, betraying a tiny spark of amusement. Relax. The station enjoys making humans feel acoustically self-aware. As if on cue, the AI chimed overhead in its typical deadpan tone. Observation. Technician footstep volume inconsistent. Probability of comedic stumble. 63%. Jiren groaned. I swear this AI is developing an attitude. Liera allowed herself a small, fleeting smirk. It was configured with adaptive humor. Consider it cultural enrichment. They turned into the research wing, and the atmosphere shifted again. Holographic projectors emitted swirling images of plasma storms dancing across Zithra 9's upper atmosphere. Massive arcs of violet and gold energy twisting like enraged serpents. The storm simulations were so vivid Jiren felt waves of phantom heat brushing his face. Hundreds of drones drifted around them, humming gently as they recalibrated sensors or scanned anomalies. Some moved with purpose. Others wobbled like confused ducklings. A few bumped into one another with soft metallic chirps. One drone, spherical and overly enthusiastic, spun in a full circle before attempting to perch on a handrail. It failed miserably, slipping sideways and bobbing awkwardly like it was trying to impersonate a drunk hummingbird. Jiren pointed. Please tell me that one's not standard issue. Liera sighed, long, suffering, fond. Standard? No, that one is experimental. Very experimental. Jiren grinned. So, basically a toddler with thrusters. Her long ears twitched in reluctant amusement. A dangerously accurate description. As they walked, Liera's tone shifted from humorous to solemn. You asked earlier about the human you resemble, she said softly. It wasn't just a passing resemblance. He was significant to my people. Jiren listened carefully as she continued. Years ago, a catastrophic plasma surge erupted from the planet's core. It tore through our outpost defenses, overloaded our systems, and nearly destroyed the entire colony. We had never seen anything like it. They paused beside a projector displaying raw footage, arcs of blinding energy ripping across the sky, alarms flashing, drones scattering in chaotic spirals. Liera drew in a slow breath, steadying herself. He was sent here as a specialist during the crisis, the only human on the team. He improvised repairs no one else considered, stabilized failing conduits, and redirected the surge long enough for our emergency systems to activate. Jiren's voice softened. Sounds like he was incredible. Her ears dipped downward, an expression of old grief resurfacing. He didn't survive the final collapse. But without him, none of us would be here. Jiren stared at the hologram, where his double, a ghost of bravery, worked with frantic determination. The resemblance was undeniable. The same unruly hair, the same posture, the same stubborn tilt of the jaw. It felt surreal, like looking into a parallel life he'd never lived. So, he said carefully, you think I'm him? Liera shook her head. No. The odds of reincarnation, temporal duplication, or biological replication across species lines are astronomically low. A pause. But the resemblance is perfect. Too perfect. Jiren tried a slow exhale. Well, that's comforting and horrifying. The AI chimed again, far too pleased. Technician stress levels rising. Suggestion: administer beverage or emotional support drone. Liera ignored it and led him toward a chamber lined with rotating data cores. Each tall cylinder spun with etched glyphs that glowed softly, like ancient memories locked in crystal. She placed her palm on one, and a cascade of hollow images flickered to life. Footage of the legendary human's actions, maps of energy flows, recordings of catastrophe. Jiren watched the last moments, his double disappearing into plasma light. Liera's voice trembled, but her gaze held steady. When I saw you in that docking bay, it felt like the past had broken open. Jiren didn't know what to say. He wasn't a hero, just a technician with squeaky boots and a questionable sense of timing. Yet to her, he was an echo of a legend, and the universe wasn't done with either of them. By the time Jiren and Liera left the archival chamber, the distant rumble of Zithra 9's plasma storms had intensified. The entire outpost vibrated with a low, rhythmic tremor, like the planet itself was grinding its teeth. The corridor lights flickered in soft gradients, shifting in response to external energy fluctuations. Liero walked ahead with that signature precision her species seemed born with. Jiren followed, hoping his every step didn't sound like a malfunctioning maintenance droid. "So," he said, attempting levity, "on a scale of 1 to catastrophic meltdown, how worried should I be about that rumbling?" Liera's ears tilted thoughtfully. "Approximately a 3, she replied, "for if you count your tendency to invite chaos." Before Jiren could argue, the station AI chimed in with impeccable timing. "Correction! Technician's average chaos index is rated at 5.7. Jiren groaned. "Great. Roasted by artificial intelligence." Again. Liera's lips curved into the smallest smile, and that alone eased some of the tension clinging to the air. They entered a wide circular hub, one of the outpost central analysis rooms. Dozens of transparent hollow screens hovered in layered tiers, each displaying simulations of electromagnetic currents, tectonic shifts, or plasma projections. Drones zipped between displays, tagging anomalies with blinking markers. One drone drifted a little too close to Jiren's head, beeped indignantly, and swerved away like it was offended by his existence. Jiren raised both hands. "Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to disrupt your flight path." Liera shook her head, a soft laugh slipping out. "You have a unique relationship with machinery. I prefer the term mutual misunderstanding." But as the quiet humor faded, Liera turned toward a large panoramic hologram showing Zither 9's atmosphere in real time. Brilliant arcs of white-blue plasma rippled across the horizon like glowing scars. The energy waves were both beautiful and terrifying, shifting unpredictably through the sky. "We monitor the storms constantly," she explained. "Every fluctuation, every tremor. After what happened years ago, we learned never to underestimate the planet." Jiren stepped closer to the display. The storm reminded him of a living beast stirring in its sleep. Unpredictable, ancient, and far beyond human control. "What caused it the first time?" he asked. Liera's expression darkened. "A rare core instability. Plasma surged upward in a chain reaction. It tore through our early defenses. We weren't prepared." Her gaze lingered on the storm with emotion Jiren couldn't quite decipher. Fear, reverence, grief, all threaded together like woven strands. "Your people must have been terrified." "Yes," she whispered. "And your double, arrived in the middle of it. Not when things were calm. Not when systems were stable. He arrived when everything was collapsing." She walked slowly toward a nearby console and tapped a glowing glyph. More imagery from the old catastrophe appeared. Energy tearing through the colony's shields, alarms screaming, crew members rushing through smoke-filled corridors. Jiren swallowed hard. That must have been horrible. It was... Liera touched the edge of the console, her fingers trembling ever so slightly. But he never hesitated. Not once. Jiren felt the weight of those words settle in his chest. He wasn't a hero. He fixed wiring, patched conduits, and hoped gravity didn't betray him while climbing ladders. The idea that he resembled someone who saved an entire outpost felt surreal, like the universe had mistaken him for someone braver, smarter, stronger. Liera must have sensed a shift in his mood. "You're not responsible for his legacy," she said gently. "You're not him, and I do not expect you to be." Jiren exhaled slowly. Relief and discomfort mingled in equal measure. "Still must be weird for you." "Very," she admitted with a shaky laugh. "When I first saw you, I felt like the past slammed into the present without warning. My mind knew you weren't him, but my eyes, my heart." Her ears lowered slightly. They needed time. Silence settled between them. Not heavy, simply honest. Then the AI broke it with impeccable timing. Alert, emotional tension detected. Suggestion, serve tea. Jiren snorted. "You know what? Tea sound great." Liera blinked, surprised, amused, relieved. "Then come. There's a rest module nearby." She motioned toward another corridor, glowing softly with ambient light. As they walked, Jiren couldn't help glancing at the storm one last time. It still writhed across the sky like a restless titan, a storm that once shaped a legend, and now, somehow, was shaping him. The rest module was tucked behind a curved hallway where the lights dimmed into a warm amber glow. Compared to humming machinery and flickering storm projections outside, the space felt strangely peaceful, like a pocket of calm carved out of chaos. Soft cushions lined the seats, hovering gently above the floor. A dispenser hummed as Liera keyed in sequence, releasing the faint aroma of synthesized tea into the air. Jiren inhaled deeply. "Okay," he said. "That smells way better than whatever my last outpost served." Liera's ears twitched in amusement. "We prioritize emotional stability. Good tea helps." The AI agreed immediately. "Data supports this. Technician stress decreases by 12% when consuming warm beverages." Jiren shot the ceiling an annoyed glance. "Can you not analyze my stress like it's a weather forecast?" "Negative." Liera chuckled softly and handed him a cup. The tea shimmered faintly, reflecting the ambient lights like liquid starlight. Jiren took a careful sip and blinked. "That's actually amazing." Liera sat across from him, her posture elegant but undeniably tense. Her long ears flicked forward, as if attuned to every shift in his expression. "For my people," she began, "tea is a grounding ritual. When emotions run high or when memories resurface, we share a cup. It's meant to steady the mind." Jiren held the warm cup between his hands, letting the heat seep into his palms. "So this is a cultural healing moment?" She hesitated. "Something like that." Silence settled, gentle, not awkward. Outside the walls, a faint rumble of distant plasma vibrated to the floor, but the tea's warmth softened its edge. After a moment, Liera exhaled slowly. "When I saw you in the docking bay," she admitted, "I thought my mind was failing me. I'd buried a memory of him, the human who saved us, deep enough to move forward. And then you stepped out of that shuttle, wearing his face." Jiren lowered his gaze. "I can't imagine how hard that must have been." She nodded. "It felt like seeing a ghost. Not the terrifying kind, but the kind that reminds you of a wound you thought had healed." Jiren didn't interrupt. Something in her voice urged quiet. "He was brave," she continued. "Reckless sometimes. But he cared deeply. He pushed himself beyond his limits because he believed we deserved a future. When the surge hit, he sacrificed everything to redirect the plasma flow." Her voice grew softer. "I never had the chance to thank him." Jiren swallowed, the tea suddenly heavier in his hands. "I'm not him," he said quietly. "But if hearing me say it helps, then thank you for remembering him." Liera blinked rapidly, caught between surprise and emotion. "That means more than you know." A distant drone beeped, bumping into the doorframe like it was trying to lighten the mood through sheer incompetence. Jiren laughed. "Does that thing follow us everywhere?" Liera wiped a tear from the corner of her eye and managed a smile. "It's programmed to assist. Unfortunately, it interprets assist very liberally." The AI added, "Clarification, Drone Beta 7 possesses autonomous enthusiasm, not malfunction." Jiren raised his cup. "To enthusiastic drones." Liera mirrored the gesture. "And to new beginnings." They sipped in unison. Gradually, the heaviness in the room faded. Liera's expression shifted from grief to curiosity, her ears lifting in renewed interest. "Tell me something," she said. "Why did you volunteer for this assignment? Zithra, 9 isn't exactly a popular destination among human technicians." Jiren shrugged. "I like challenges. And honestly, I needed a fresh start. My last workplace was a little too explosive." Liera arched an eyebrow. "Explosive? Let's just say if you reverse the polarity on an unstable containment coil, you shouldn't be standing anywhere near it." She blinked. "You reversed the polarity while standing near it?" "It was a learning experience." Liera laughed, really laughed, and the sound filled the module like sunlight breaking through clouds. Her ears quivered with emotion, her whole posture lighter. In that moment, the legend haunting her wasn't in the room anymore. Only Jiren was. And for the first time, she saw him not as an echo of the past, but as someone carving his own space in her present. The rumbling storm outside intensified again, shaking the walls with quiet menace. But inside the rest module, the warmth of the tea and the fragile thread of connection held firm. They weren't just sharing a drink. They were building something new. By the time Jiren and Liera left the rest module, the storm outside had reached a breathtaking intensity. Through the transparent panels of the corridor, the entire sky flashed with ribbons of blue-white plasma that curled and forked like cosmic lightning. The outpost vibrated beneath their feet, gentle but constant, like an ancient beast pacing in its sleep. Liera walked beside him, calmer now, though her long ears remained attuned to the distant thunder. Something had shifted between them, lighter, steadier, as if sharing tea had anchored an invisible thread neither could fully name. The corridor opened into the outpost central hub, a vast, domed chamber filled with holographic archives, storm maps, energy diagnostics, and drifting drones navigating layer projection grids. The entire room hummed with anticipation, data streams flowing like illuminated rivers across the walls. Liera paused at the entryway. "This," she said softly, "is where our past lives." Jiren glanced around. "You mean the plasma surge records?" "And everything connected to it." She approached the massive hollow archive dominating the far wall. When she touched the glowing glyph, the chamber shifted, the projections fading before new ones unfurled like blooming light. Zithra 9's storm history appeared layer by layer, each event etched with notes, diagrams, and recordings. Jiren stepped forward, and instantly the system recognized his presence. It scanned him from head to toe, issuing a soft chime. Identity match. 99.998% similarity. Subject. Classified human record. Jiren froze. Should I be worried? Liera frowned. It shouldn't have activated. Only his biometrics were encoded in this archive. The AI interjected smoothly. Clarification. Technician Jiren shares an anomalously high visual and structural biometric overlap with archived subject. Probability of familial or genetic connection. Unknown. Jiren threw his hands up. I've never even heard of this guy. How would I be related to him? Liera stared at the projection of the legendary human, his twin in every way but name, standing beside energy conduits and storm breakers. It's not impossible, she murmured. Humans travel. Generations move. Records get lost. A pause. But the resemblance is beyond chance. Jiren studied the hologram. His stomach tightened. It wasn't a similarity. It was uncanny. Same angular face. Same eyes. Even the same annoyed wrinkle in the forehead when concentrating. Great, he muttered. I came here to fix machinery and avoid responsibility. Now the station thinks I'm the ghost of a hero. Liera's expression softened. You're not a ghost. You're real, alive, and here for reasons we don't yet understand. The AI chimed again. Emotional escalation detected. Suggests strategic breathing. Jiren glared upward. You breathe. Impossible. He sighed and turned back to Liera. Tell me what happened to him. The real him. She nodded, guiding him toward projection, displaying the colony's catastrophe. Moving images played out in sharp detail. A storm tearing through the atmosphere. Energy conduits exploding. Crew members scrambling to repair damaged shielding. And one human, his double, darting between systems with fearless intensity. He volunteered for the most dangerous repairs. Liera said quietly. Everyone told him it was suicide. He went anyway. Jiren watched the last scene. The human rerouting the plasma, stabilizing the grid for a final, critical moment. And then, light. He was gone. Jiren felt an ache he couldn't explain. He didn't know this man. Yet losing him felt strangely personal. So this is a legacy I walked into, he whispered. Liera nodded. But you don't have to carry it. Understanding it is enough. Jiren looked at her, really looked. Her calm strength, her lingering grief, her hope carefully stitched into every word. She wasn't asking for a replacement. She was asking for truth. A sudden tremor shook the chamber, breaking the stillness. The storm outside roared louder, flashing dangerously close to the outpost shield barrier. Liera's ears shot upright. That surge is stronger than projected. Jiren stepped closer to the storm readout. Wait, Look at that. He pointed at a fault line of energy forming in the plasma map. Your grid is misaligned, just like in your old disaster records. Liera's eyes widened. You're right, if that pattern repeats. The station could overload. The AI chimed in with a tone that was somehow far too cheerful for the situation. Recommendation: immediate recalibration. Probability of catastrophic failure: 47% and rising. Jiren swallowed. Not today. Not again, not for them. He looked at Liera. She looked back. No words needed. Together, they ran. The storm wasn't done with this outpost. And neither, it seemed, was destiny done with him. Alarms wailed to the outpost as Jiren and Liera sprinted down the pulsating corridor. Soft blue lights instantly shifted to emergency red, bathing the walls in a warning glow that made every shadow look sharper, every vibration feel heavier. The storm outside was escalating beyond anything the projections had predicted. Plasma tendrils lashed across the sky like furious serpents, hammering the shield barrier with bursts of electric fire. The outpost trembled under each impact. Central control, Liera ordered breathlessly. Now! Drones zipped overhead in frantic swarms, their usual lazy drifting replaced with rapid, purposeful movement. The AI's voice followed them through every chamber they passed. Warning! Energy spikes exceeding safety threshold. Warning! Structural tension rising. Warning! Technician Jiren, please do not trip. Jiren gasped. This is not the time. Correction! Statistically, it is precisely the time. Liera suppressed a strained laugh and kept running. They burst into the central control chamber, a towering circular room with a panoramic view of the raging plasma storm. The entire wall shifted and rippled with live atmospheric readings, the storm's furious energy vibrating to the floor beneath them. Liera rushed to the main console, hands flying across glowing glyphs. Jiren joined her, scanning the data streams as if his instincts were guiding him more than his conscious thoughts. This pattern, he muttered, is identical to the surge in your archive logs. Liera nodded urgently. The same unstable flow channels. The same energy buildup. But the system should have compensated. It didn't, Jiren said, already opening an access panel beneath the console. Your grid calibration drifted. Same fault line as before. Liera's ears stiffened. If the surge hits that weak point, the shield network collapses, Jiren finished. I need a manual override. Liera hesitated. That's a high-voltage chamber. You'll be exposed. Jiren flashed a nervous grin. Well, I didn't come all this way to let your outpost explode. She stared at him, fear, frustration, and something deeper flickering in her eyes. You don't have to do this. Maybe not, he said quietly. But if I don't, the station's done. A beat passed. Liera placed her hand on his arm. Light, trembling, but steady enough to stop him for half a breath. Be careful. He nodded. I'll do my best. The AI chimed soothingly. Affirmation. Technician Jiren's survival probability has increased by 3% since the last assessment. Please avoid touching anything that glows ominously. Fantastic, Jiren muttered. Good advice. He sprinted toward the high-voltage chamber, Liera right behind him. The door slid open to reveal a room filled with conduits arcing with blue-white electricity. Energy pulsed through the cables in chaotic bursts, illuminating the chamber like the belly of a star. Jiren cracked his knuckles. All right, Storm, let's dance. He dove under a sparking conduit, pried open an access hatch, and began rerouting the energy channels. Every motion felt eerily familiar, guided not just by training, but by something deeper, something inherited or echoed from the man whose face he wore. Liera watched anxiously from the doorway, ready to relay data. The surge is accelerating. You have 30 seconds. Plenty of time, Jiren said, even though sweat was already dripping down his face. The outpost shuddered violently. A cascade of sparks rained down from overhead. Jiren twisted a conduit clamp, flipped a polarity switch, and slammed the manual override into place. Recalibration now, he shouted. Liera struck the command. The entire station went dark. Silence. The storm outside paused as if holding its breath. Then, light returned in a rush. The power stabilized. The shield grid reactivated with a soft, resonant hum. Liera exhaled shakily. You did it! Jiren leaned back against the console, panting. We did it! The AI chimed in, almost sounding relieved. Crisis averted. Technician Jiren has exceeded expectations. Recommend reward. 3 cups of tea. Liera approached him slowly. Her expression carried relief and something warm enough to rival the glow of the reactivated lights. You saved us, she said softly. Jiren shook his head. No, I just fixed what needed fixing. I'm not him. No, she agreed. You're you, and that's enough. Outside, the storm finally began to fade, its terrifying arcs dissolving into soft, swirling light. Jiren looked out at the sky beside her, feeling something shift inside him. A deeper understanding, a strange sense of belonging, a thread of destiny he hadn't expected. So, he said, voice gentler now, what happens next? Liera's long ears dipped and rose in a shy, hopeful gesture. Next, she said, we build new memories that don't belong to ghosts. Jiren smiled. For the first time, the future didn't feel like a storm. It felt like a beginning.